Today, we're going to create a Linux virtual machine on Windows, and we're not going to use VirtualBox. I've seen too many issues with it. No, we're going to use something called Hyper-V, which has been in Windows for quite a while now. Since we're going to use Hyper-V for our virtual machine, we'll make sure it's enabled first. Press the Windows key and type Windows features. It should autofill. Hit enter, scroll down and select Hyper-V. Make sure we select both of the options, and since this is Windows, we'll have to restart. We're going to install Debian testing. Debian is one of the Linux distributions. A Linux distribution is basically a group of trusted developers that make sure lots of different software all works together through a packaging standard. The main difference between Linux distributions is the package format and the package manager tool you use to install and update software. Another popular Linux distribution is Ubuntu, but it's actually based on Debian. It uses the same packaging format and tools, but it's maintained by a different set of developers. We're going to use the testing edition of Debian because it'll have all the latest software for us to play with. After restarting, open your web browser and search for Debian Testing Installer. It should be the first link there. Let's go there. Let's download the CD image for AMD 64. Now we just wait for it to download. Don't worry, we don't need a USB stick or CD drive. Now hit the Windows key again and type hyper-v, quick create, and hit enter. Click local installation source, click change on the right, and select the Debian testing installer you downloaded. Uncheck this virtual machine will run Windows. Click the arrow beside more options and we'll name our virtual machine Debian Testing. We're done here, so click Create Virtual Machine, let it do its thing, and after it's done, click Connect, then Start. This is our new virtual machine. Now it's time to install the operating system. We'll select Graphical Install by pressing Enter. English as a default works, so click Continue. We'll change our country to Canada, change it to your own if it's not, and click Continue again. American English is good, and hitting Continue is going to be our theme for this install. Let's wait for it to load some installer tools for us and configure the network. We get a choice for naming our machine. This is called the host name, and we'll see this as the name after the @ symbol when we're using it. I like short names, so I'll just call it VM and click Continue. We can leave the domain name blank and click our good friend Continue. We're going to need to set two passwords. The first is the root password. On Linux, there's always a default root account that has access to the full system. You should select a strong, unique password and use a password manager. However, for the purpose of this video, we'll just set the root password to root. We'll confirm that we're making a poor choice and continue. Now we get to create an account for our user, which is us. I'll just type my first name, John, and carry on. You can put your full name there if you'd like. Now, you'll be able to change your username. The default should work. Your username will be all lowercase and it'll show before the @ symbol when we're using the virtual machine. Next, pick a user password. Again, do what I say and not what I do because I'm just going to set my password to John and confirm my poor choice. Select your time zone. Eastern works for me. We're going to install the operating system to a virtual disk. For this part, we'll use all the default options. Guided to use entire disk is good, so continue. There's only one virtual disk, so continue. All files in one partition is great, continue. This screen gives a summary of what's going to happen and it looks good, continue. Now we have to confirm these changes to disk. If this was a real disk, you'd want to back up anything you needed from it because by now it's all getting erased. Since this is a virtual disk with nothing on it, we're good. Select yes to write changes to disk and click continue. The installer is going to install the base system. After it's done, we're going to say we don't have any other media and click continue. We're configuring where we want to download the rest of the software from, so you'll want to pick the location closest to you. I'm in Canada, so I'll pick that. Next, you get to pick the server closest to you. If you don't know, you should keep the default. I know my closest is University of Waterloo, so I'll pick that and continue. We're not going to use a proxy, so continue. We get to wait a bit, and then it's going to ask us if we want to report what packages we install back to the developers. I'll just keep the default of no. You can really tell we're not installing Windows. Now we get to pick some of the software we'll use. By default, it'll install a graphical user interface, otherwise known as a desktop environment. The specific one it'll install is GNOME, which works for us. Make sure to check SSH server. If you don't want a graphical environment, you can unselect Debian desktop environment and GNOME. You could do that if you want a basic install for remote development, but let's install them anyways so we can try it out. Click continue, and now we have a long wait while it downloads and installs everything. Finally, we're done with the installation. Click continue to reboot. If it doesn't reboot properly, you may just get a black screen. If this happens, just go to the top toolbar in the window. There's two main options here, turn off and shut down. Turn off is equivalent to unplugging the power cord out of your desktop, so let's not use that. We'll use the shutdown option, which is like hitting the power button, so the machine can shut down properly. Just confirm the shutdown and click start again. Our newly installed virtual machine is booting, and after a bit, we should see a greeting screen. Click your name and enter your password. Remember that you have a better user password than mine, which is just John. This is your desktop environment. You should see a welcome screen that says unspecified. I'm not sure why that is. Click next in the top right corner. The default keyboard layout is okay for our desktop, so next again. We'll turn off location services, click next. We don't need an online account, so we can simply hit skip with no fuss. Click start using Debian. Let's set up our user so they can use Sudo to do administration tasks as a root user. Hit the Windows key and type terminal and hit enter. Type SU space dash. This means switch user to root our account that can do everything. Type your root password, which is root for me because I made a bad decision. Now type usermod, lowercase, all one word, space, dash, lowercase a, uppercase G, space, sudo, space, your username, which is John for me. Hit enter, and we're authorized now after we reboot. Sudo is short for switch user undo, which lets us run a single command as a root user without switching user. Before rebooting, let's update our software just in case. apt is the package manager for Debian. To use it to update our packages, type apt space update, press enter, and the package manager fetches any software updates for us. If it didn't say all packages are up to date, type apt space upgrade and hit enter. This command downloads the new software for us and upgrades it to the new version. Now we'll reboot. We can type reboot and hit enter, or click on the power button in the top right corner and click restart. Confirm the restart and let it go. Now, if you get a black screen again, use the shutdown option, confirm and click start again. Log in again and we'll install some new software for development. Press the Windows key, type terminal again and hit enter. Now we can type sudo before any command we want to run as root. Type sudo space apt space install space. Now a bunch of software packages separated by spaces. We're going to install bear, build essential, clang, clangd, gdb, git, meson, python 3, strace, valgrind, and zsh. Hit enter, type your user password, the awful John password for me, and hit enter again. Confirm the installation by typing Y and hit enter. This will take a while. We've finished setting up our virtual machine. If you just want it to run in the background, which is great for remote development, click the X button to close the window. The virtual machine is actually still running in the background. To see the status of the virtual machine, hit the Windows key and type Hyper-V Manager and press enter. In this window, You can see a list of all your virtual machines in the middle and what state they're in. You can see our Debian testing virtual machine is still running. If you want to shut it down because you want to play a game or another intensive task, just right-click it and select Shut Down. You can come back to this manager to start it back up whenever you're ready. Congratulations! You set up a Linux virtual machine on Windows and are ready to dive into software development. You should watch the next video in the series to set up your development environment. We'll use VS Code in Windows to connect remotely to the virtual machine and program there.